Working on a 2009 Mazda 6 2.5 liter. Going to replace all 4 spark plugs. Go ahead and pop your hood. Once you get your hood open, let's go ahead and remove this engine cover here. This will just lift right off. And if you notice, you got these little clips right here, and then these rubber grommets which fit into these tabs right there. So now with that engine cover out of the way, you can see that gives us access to all 4 of our coils, and then our spark plugs attached to that. So before I go ahead and start doing anything, I want to just take some compressed air and blow all this dirt and debris off. So I'm going to start out with just doing one plug at a time. We'll start out with cylinder number 1 here. So let's go ahead and unplug the coil. So you got this little tab right here. You're going to push down with your thumb and then just pull out like that. Grab a 8mm socket. We're going to undo the coil bolt here. Get that broken free, and then you can undo this by hand. And then just go ahead and lift up on this coil, and then the boot will come out with it. Just like that. And then if you take a look, you can see our spark plug down there in the cylinder head. So let's go ahead and remove that. So then just grab a extension with a socket wrench, and you're going to use a 5/8 spark plug socket. And you can tell it's a spark plug socket because it has the rubber grommet in there. That's what helps get the spark plug out of the cylinder there. So go ahead and latch that onto your plug. Break that free. And go ahead and unscrew your spark plug out of there. And there's our old plug. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our old plug and then our new ones. So this is the old plug that I just pulled out. You can see this is NGK1. And if you take a look at the owner's manual here, it says spark plug gap, 2.5 liter. We should be right around 0.049 to 0.053 inches on our gap. So I'm going to use this style gapping tool. You can use this style, or if you want to use a feeler gauge, you can do that as well. But unfortunately, mine only goes to, you can see 0.035 inches. So this isn't going to be thick enough to check our gap. So I'm going to use this one here. And what you do, you're going to take your plug, you're going to stick this through there like that. And then you're going to bring this down, and we're going to measure how big our gap is here. So we should be right in about right there. But if I keep going, you can see I can keep taking this down almost to 0.060 inches. So our gap is definitely off on this, so that's why we're replacing them. And I went with these NGK Iridium IX plugs, part number 4344. I got these off Amazon. I'll put a link in the description for them. Go ahead and open these up, and then we'll just kind of see what our gap is on these new ones. I think we're gonna have to adjust because I think it said when I bought them they were at like 0.040 inches. So check your new plug's gap, and as you're doing this, you want to be careful because these Iridium plugs, it's the tip is really small on this. You don't want to do damage to that tip. So stick this on here, and as you can see, yep, pretty much stops right there at 0.040 inches. So we need to open this gap up a little bit. And I'm probably going to go right at 0.050. That's probably going to be the easiest. So to open this up, that's what this hole is for. So you take this, stick your plug in there. You just want to get the tip onto this little spot right there. So get that on there. And then you're just going to pry up just lightly. You don't want to go too much because this will bend really easy. So just take that up just a little bit like that. Now let's go ahead and measure our gap again. And just about spot on. So I'm actually right there at 0.051, but that'll work just fine. So I'm going to go right there, call that good, and then you just slide it back. You don't want to pull it off because then you might damage that tip on there. So that should be good right there like that. So then what you want to do is we'll just go ahead and stick this into the spark plug socket here. Now, you can use a little bit of anti-seize on there. I'm not going to, just because whoever did these last plugs, you can see they put quite a bit of anti-seize on these. So I'm not going to use them on this. Plus, I was reading on these new NGK plugs, a lot of times the anti-seize is actually built into the threads here, so you don't have to use it. So I'm not going to. It's kind of preference. Whoever wants to use it can. But I'm going to go ahead and stick this in here, and then it kind of locks in there with that rubber grommet. So take your new plug, and you're just going to slowly go into the hole down here. You don't want to drop that because then you'll just bend that tip again. So just slowly go in there like that. Thread it in by hand until it completely stops. You always want to do it by hand, never with an impact or anything, because you don't want to cross thread it. Once that kind of stops, grab your torque wrench, and you're going to torque that to 12 foot-pounds. And if you don't have a torque wrench, it's fine. You can just tighten it by hand. Just go about a half a turn more when it stops. So, see right there, that's 12 foot-pounds. Then you can go ahead and grab your coil. And then I like to use some of this dielectric grease. You can get this off Amazon. I'll put a link in the description for it. But you want to just put a little dab of this inside the boot right here. So just a little dab, just kind of like that. Go ahead and stick your coil back down in there, over top of your spark plug. And then press down. And then go ahead and grab your coil bolt here. Get that threaded in there. And then just get that nice and snug. Go ahead and plug in your coil pack. Just like that. So now we'll go ahead and move on to cylinder number 2. So this is for the engine cover here, but if you take a 15 millimeter, you can get on this and just spin this plastic piece off here. And then that'll be the same. Just take your 8 millimeter, twist off your bolt there. And undo your coil and pull that out. And then this is going to be pretty much the same process for all 4 of these. So I'll probably just time lapse through this. So let me go ahead and get all these swapped out. And then you can just go ahead and screw this back on. And if you want, you can use your wrench. If not, just twisting this on by hand ain't gonna hurt anything. It's just plastic, so you don't want to go too tight. And then I just want to show you, so on that one, don't do this. So whoever did this before, you can see they just caked that anti-seize on. I mean, that's way overdoing it. You don't want to use that much anti-seize if you do decide to use it. So now let's go ahead and move on to cylinder 3 and 4. Okay guys, so that's all there is to it. Then you can go ahead and get your engine cover back on here. Get that lined up and then just push it into place. Now let's just go ahead and start it, make sure it starts. And you can see idling just fine, no check engine lights. So we should be good. So that's going to wrap up the video. Again, this was a 2009 Mazda 6 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. Went ahead and replaced all 4 spark plugs. Really simple job to do on these cars. Takes you maybe 15-20 minutes at the most to get all 4 changed. So hopefully this video helps you out. If it does, why don't you subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.